Universal basic income was a controversial topic during the 2020 presidential primaries, and it's now back in the national conversation as AI advocates imagine solutions for a future where machines displace workers on a large scale. To better understand the impact of guaranteed income, NYU Wagner researchers and colleagues examined a program in Compton, California, in which low-income households received an average of $500 a month over an 18-month period.
So we designed the program with two treatment arms. So half of the households received this as a quarterly payment, and the other half received it twice monthly.
Both groups were assessed against a control group that received nothing. Researchers found that households receiving payments spent on average $300 less per month than the control group.
The reduced spending result, we were really initially quite puzzled by because it's at odds with the global literature on guaranteed income programs. But when we sort of reflected on the US context where households hold substantial amounts of debt, particularly credit card debt, we're finding households are using their disposable income to pay down their debt. We found a larger effect on this for the households that were receiving the payments twice a month, possibly because the timing of the transfers aligns better with credit card billing cycles.
Recipients also reported significantly lower earned income, likely explained by greater flexibility for part-time workers who were able to reduce their hours. Suicide is a leading cause of death in the US. While policies to limit access to guns and expand healthcare have been shown to help prevent suicide, a new analysis led by researchers from the NYU School of Global Public Health and Silver School of Social Work finds that other less direct solutions can also save lives.
So for example, we found a good bit of evidence around policies that increase the minimum wage, things like that provide income supports. The interesting thing here is the area where we really find kind of the strongest evidence, and these policies themselves, they weren't adopted with the explicit goal of preventing suicide. In fact, suicide probably wasn't mentioned in the policy itself at all, but we have these spillover benefits of policies that really target economic security.
To continue to understand and address this issue, the authors call for more research on technology and youth mental health, particularly as it relates to current cell phone bans and social media age restrictions.
Policymakers care about this issue on both sides of the aisle. Democrats and Republicans want to prevent suicide death, and our review identified a number of policy approaches that they could adopt to achieve that goal.
Women are underrepresented in Congress. Does that make you angry? What if I told you that men are overrepresented in Congress? How do you feel now? Well, that might just depend on your gender.
A lot of the times when we tell the story about political leadership, we can use the same true numbers, like 29% of congressional officials are women. Women are underrepresented in Congress. We can take that same story but tell it from a different perspective, using a different narrative frame. We can say, despite the fact that they're 50% of the population, 71% of congressional officials are males, men are overrepresented in Congress. Does it have a different psychological impact? Does it land differently for the people who are hearing that story? Our work suggests that it does.
The study found that women demonstrated more anger at disparities in political leadership. The overrepresentation framing didn't change men's responses, and the effect didn't hold for women reading about disparities in business.
The narrative lens that we use when we're thinking about the world can have a really big impact. Take a classic example of the glass half full or the glass half empty. Both of those are true, but whichever sort of metaphor you apply to yourself or to somebody that you're talking with, it can have a really big impact on the way that you see the world. If we take that same metaphor and apply it to something with real impact, like disparities in leadership, we can see that same sort of psychology play out in a really impactful way.
For more on these stories and all the latest NYU research, visit nyu.edu/news. I'm Jade McLean. I'll catch you next time on Brainiacs.